Ed here with the Digital Digest, and today I wanted to share a quick unboxing and first look at the Asus ROG Flow Z13 ACRONYM for 2023. Now, this retails for $2,499 US. I'll include a link in the description, and it is the most expensive offering in the Z13 lineup, which is in its second generation. I've already shared with all of you the 4050 model that I have right here, the most affordable, the lowest priced Z13. It starts at $1,750 US. The 4060 model, which has 2 more gigs of VRAM than the 4050, retails for $1,880, but that model is impossible to find. And then last but not least, you have the ACRONYM. So let me go ahead and start to get that out of the box for all of you. The key difference with the ACRONYM is really that we've got a 4070 with 8 gigs of VRAM. That is the highest spec GPU that you can get. And we also have 32 gigs of RAM. This is the only model, and the RAM is soldered. You cannot upgrade that. Now, I purchased this from Amazon. A little concerned that we've got tape on the box. This was inside another box on delivery. And then if I flip it around, you're going to see that the Asus actual tape appears to be broken on both sides. This should come over the box. So it looks like someone opened this. I'm hoping it's not a refurb or a return, but we're going to find out right now. And for those of you wondering what my personal fascination with the Asus ROG Flow Z13 is all about, is that, you know, I've always loved incredibly powerful tablets, and really the Surface Pro lineup was the only game in town for quite a while, but now in its second generation, Asus has really given us, as I struggle with this tape job that I thought I separated, they have given us something that really just takes what Microsoft has done and throws it out the window. And yes, you can see someone absolutely opened this as I hit my own camera because the tape is not where it is supposed to be. So I'm again hoping, yeah, this has totally been opened. And this is really unfortunate because for those of you that don't know, this is pretty much impossible to find. So when you do purchase it and then you get something after you pay a brand new price for it that clearly Asus has done something shady with, or I don't want to say Amazon. I mean, I'm pretty sure this was drop shipped to Amazon. But yeah, this is definitely disappointing. As I try to remove the pen, we'll see how clean it looks once I get everything out of the box. And yeah, it's just disappointing. And, you know, for me, the whole premise here with the ACRONYM, for those of you that are wondering, as I pull this part out also, is I'm really trying to find the most powerful, lightweight laptop replacement, and that's what this fits, because I'm about to, you know, getting closer to major surgery, and I know I'm not going to have fantastic use of my arms, so this is going to give me an opportunity to really have a zero compromise experience, in my opinion, with a machine that weighs in a little over 2.5 pounds. So, power cable, you know, for that 130 watt adapter looks clean. I don't think it looks like it was used, but I don't know. When the seal is broken, you're generally supposed to just, this doesn't look like it's attached either on the pen. We'll start with taking a look at that. And by the way, this is the only model that comes with a pen. For those of you that are curious, the 4050 and 4060 do not include it. Of course, you can get a pen to use with it, but it does not come with it. And I think that's a missed opportunity for Asus, considering, you know, this is a touchscreen machine. Again, that display, which is the same across all 3 models, as you can see, rechargeable with a Type-C cable that is included. They really have done an amazing job. I mean, the brightness on this panel, the lack of ghosting, it really is, you know, next level compared to the previous generation, which was a 120 hertz panel that did exhibit ghosting. So there is our pen. We've got some replacement tips and nowhere to store this for those of you that are already wondering, but still nice to have a pen. That is part of the premise of this machine. Moving right along, I'll put that to the side. Again, the power brick, really compact, and this is one of the things I love about this machine, is that because it doesn't require that much power, it means even off of a power bank you can get full throttle performance from it. But brace yourselves as I get closer to getting this out of the package. If you're not familiar with what the acronym looks like, the design language is completely different than the traditional models that I just had in frame a moment ago. This is the wearable gear, which I'm not even going to get into because they actually do include a whole strap system and slings so that you can throw this over your shoulder, wear it, and use it. I don't plan on doing any of that. I think it's cool conceptually, but that is not why I bought it. And when I say cool conceptually, I mean conceptually. That is not something I would do in the world. I would not wear this over my shoulder. But for anyone that is a priority for, you now have the machine of your dreams, right? That at least seems to be the idea. So let's go ahead and finally get this out of the box. I believe this is the correct side to be unboxing from. Handle is there. And again, no seal on this either, but I just want to trust that Asus did the right thing since I don't think Amazon had a hand in this. I can already tell you start to see that design difference. Now, I believe the gentleman responsible for the Iron Man, I think it was the Iron Man suit, is involved in this. So I've got my serial number there. Some paperwork regarding the actual, I guess this is the quick start guide. And, the packaging on this is unique. And then they're giving you, I guess, the quick look at the wearability, the different ways, over around the neck, something I won't be doing, being the surgery I'm about to have. And then the briefcase mode. Again, they refer to that as producer mode. And then interops mode. And is this another one? The shoulder mode. So all the different ways you could wear it. But let's go ahead and finally take this out. Again, really hoping that I got a new unit. And for those of you who think that, the Z13 premise is just overpriced, just too expensive for what it is, I will have you know that when it comes to the hardware, again, that 13th Gen i9, the 32 gigs of RAM, the 4070, granted the 4070 is only getting, I think, 50 watts, 60 peak. That still amounts to about if this was a normal laptop, you'd be looking at around, 1,500, 1,400, maybe on sale 1,300. And there is that crazy design. And it is crazy. There's no question about it. Maybe it will serve to be an even larger heatsink. To, again, dissipate how hot this machine gets. But my experience with the 4050 has been fairly good. It doesn't really get that hot. They, I think, got ventilation right. Another difference, which a lot of people don't mention, is the keyboard. And you may have noticed, as I flipped it over here, it is not a soft touch fabric finish. It's actually more of a straight up rubber, I think. Which might actually be beneficial because I do feel like the other one frays a little bit more easily. The cameras are all the same, 5 and a 13 megapixel shooter. You can see the rear cam right there. The kickstand is a little bit different because the whole back design is different. So when you're flipping it out, I'm looking to see if there is a physical tab because on the 4050, there is a physical tab on the side. It appears there is none with this one. So I actually think that the kickstand on the other two models, again, the 4050 and 4060 SKUs, that looks like a better kickstand from a practical standpoint. Once you open this, you reveal your NVMe bay right there. So if you want to upgrade that, you can, but bear in mind it's a 2230, not the best form factor for an NVMe. It is the most compact, but for this profile, but from an upgradability standpoint, 2 terabytes is the ceiling right now. So practical ceiling. So a little bit of a letdown, in my opinion, for what could have been a great opportunity to upgrade. You do have a micro SD card slot, something, of course, Surface Pro got rid of many years ago, a mistake in my opinion. But great build quality here. You can see that hinge. I mean, that is a beefy looking hinge right there. And I think that Asus, even if this design isn't for you, and I did not buy this for the design, I can't reiterate that enough, it's still a really, really well-made product, industrial tablet. And these are not removable. These are the hooking mechanisms for the wearable portion. That doesn't bother me because I actually think it might serve to give us a place to put our hands. So Thunderbolt 4 port right there, as you can see, above my thumb. And then you have the XGM port there, which will reveal another Type-C port. See if I can get that out of there. And that's in the event you want to use one of those mobile GPUs that they've stuck into an enclosure. I think 4090 is the ceiling right now. Last year's models, I can't even get this out. Seems like that's the side you got to come from if you have a nail. But last year's models, topped out at the 3080. Of course, there was an AMD variant as well. The beauty of this, just so you know, as I'm trying to bring it into focus, is that you can actually outperform the 3080 and the Z13 combo last year with this machine alone. And then the nice thing in terms of future proofing with all of the Flow products, X13 or Z13 line, is that these are literally the only laptops on the market, gaming laptops, even though they're tablets, that, not the X13, that is a laptop 2-in-1, that down the road, if you need to upgrade, let's say when the 5090 launches next year, they will have a mobile 5090 for you to hook up to this. I'm not saying that would be a worthwhile investment, but you've never been able to upgrade your GPU performance in a laptop. Even eGPUs were a bottleneck. So very smart. I'm glad to see that Asus hasn't given up on that. So moving to the other side of the machine, we've got some more action. Our 3.5 mil headphone, microphone combo jack, Type A USB port, power button, and volume rocker. And this is designed a little bit differently, to say the least, than on the other machines. Your speakers are flanking the bottom of the tablet on the left and right side. So if you hold like this, you will actually block the speakers. And then, of course, all of your ventilation is here at the top. And that's one of the things I really like about this machine. Now, finally, I open it up to the keyboard. And see, this is one of the things I was worried about, that the little tab that exists on the other model doesn't exist on this. But still, really nice. I do like the finish on this keyboard more than the fabric that is very similar to what you find on, of course, the Surface Pro. I want this machine to have its own identity, and boy, does it have its own identity. Now, I was worried that that metal finish on the back would turn me off. It has not, so we're off to a decent start. Let me try to power this on. I believe I do have the power brick from the 4050 model ready to go, which means I should be able to turn this on and at least show you, the display for a moment. So we're plugged in. We have power, and there's that front-facing camera, which does support Windows Hello for anyone that is curious. The power button, I wish extended out a little bit. A protrusion would have been nice rather than it's slightly recessed, but it's just a matter of getting used to it, I think. And we're booting. The keyboard is definitely a little bit funky with the alien language on it. I can't get around that, right? I'm not upset with what they did there, though. This is a custom boot screen that we're getting also. Pretty cool. But I'm just hoping for great performance out of this. Again, the benchmarking on the other model, which I have right here, that you saw at the beginning, trying to bring it into frame. This Time Spy was about a little over 8,000 in the highest performance mode. And now here we have a model that I'm expecting to, of course, be well over 10,000. Hopefully we can get close to about 12K, which should mean that it will be able to run pretty much any AAA title natively on its QHD 165 hertz Nebula 13.4-inch panel. That already would be a great feat, but then on video out, if I can do some, this is not why I bought the machine, but if I can do some light 4K gaming, which I anticipate I will be able to, of course, with settings cranked down, that's even more amazing. And then when you take into account what hopefully this will be able to do from a video editing standpoint, photo editing standpoint, with this color critical display and this form factor, I mean, Surface Pro who? In fact, forget about Surface Pro. I mean, show me anything that can do this. And, anyone who believes that they've got a better solution is living in their own head. And there's nothing wrong with that, but you've got to be a little bit realistic. And in this case, I mean, they have just put together an amazing piece of hardware that the only thing I wish is that I would have preferred this design. This is not my favorite, but it's definitely much more subdued, restrained than what we're working with here. And I already hear the fans kicking up. Again, what I dig with this is that we do have a place to grab onto it because they did make very narrow bezels on this. So I'll spend some time with it. Keyboard seems to be working well enough, at least the trackpad as I touch it. So I'm expecting good things. I will be back soon with an update, give you a little time spy benchmark. Maybe I'll even get that done today because, again, my next step, which I'm sure all of you could assume as much, was comparing it directly to the 4050. Because I think there are a lot of people out there that are going to be very well served by the 4050 model. In fact, if I was not able to get my hands on the Acronym, I think I would be happy with, again, the 4050, because this sort of performance is essentially right there alongside my G15 from 21 with a 3070 GPU under the hood and an AMD processor that, of course, was much more high powered than anything you would find in a tablet. So again, at 2.5 pounds, Asus deserves a lot of credit, 2.6 to be exact, with what they are doing here. I mean, no one else in the industry is paying attention to this, and I think that's a mistake. I want to see some competition, but kudos to Asus, on really putting together the most unique computing experience here in 2023, if, like me, you're after a tablet that has all of the computing power of, I won't say a top-of-the-line spec machine, but definitely a mid-range gaming laptop. So pretty impressive, a lot to like. Again, I want to know what all of you think of this design. Certainly not my favorite, but the hardware is what I'm after. So we'll see soon enough. If the gap is big enough, this is likely the machine I will go with, particularly because of that 32 gigs of RAM. But if the performance does not blow away the 4050, well, then it's going to be tough to swallow 2,500 plus tax. Also, I'll point out, again, that 4060 model really is the sweet spot. 1750, only 1880, a little over $100 to get that extra 2 gigs of VRAM, which is going to bring you even closer to the performance of this. The only place it's not going to take you is to the 32 gigs of system RAM that this has. And that to me is really the reason to go with this over the 4060 model, because again, from a GPU standpoint, there's only so much you're going to get out of the same amount of watts going to the 4070 versus the 4060. The real gap exists here, 4050 to 4070. Any questions or comments, please feel free to post them at that like button. And as usual, please feel free to subscribe and please stay safe. Later.